Kids don't forget.
Kids don't forget.
You kids don't forget.
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 So what is the correct pronunciation of your name?
Traneka.
Traneka.
Yes.
Traneka. Like, say it with me. Traneka.
Traneka.
What have you got?
Triknika, Tramika, Tanika, just
Traneka.
yeah, just chopped up.
How often does your name get mispronounced?
A good 75% of the time.
Really, even still today?
Even still
Do you
today.
get tired of correcting people?
No. I just be like, I don't even care, because it's like I know what my name is. Sometimes I'll correct them, or they'll look at me
Right.
to see if they're saying it right, and then I'll correct them. Sometimes I don't. I told you, somebody called me translator or something. They had the other day when I ordered something. I'm like, how did y'all get there? Like,
What were some of your nicknames growing up?
Nika, Neek. That was basic. T. Some people call me T.
What people? So what?
Mainly co-workers, because
Okay.
like a lot of co-workers will call me T, or they'll call me by my last name.
Okay.
Because they can't pronounce my first, so they'll
Right.
call me by my last name, or they'll be like, I'm gonna just call you T, because
Right.
it's easier.
Right.
But Nika or Neek is more like close family and friends.
Okay.
Like,
okay.
not too many people call me that, and
Right.
if you call me that, like, we gotta be cool, because sometimes I won't answer for people that, like, why are you calling me that? Like, I get annoyed. Like,
Right.
you
If
don't
the
know
wrong
me like
person
that.
calls you
Yeah,
the
like,
wrong
you don't
thing.
know me like we ain't that cool.
Like, only my mom calls me that. son.
Yeah.
So, question: where are you from?
Camden, New Jersey.
Camden, New Jersey. Do you
Yes.
claim a specific neighborhood?
Polock.
How would you like describe your neighborhood growing up?
My neighborhood, growing up, it was rough, but it was like a good rough, because I grew up there, and it was, to me it was normal.
Okay.
Now that I don't live there, to me I'd be like, I'm not, like, nah, like, I'm not going out there. It's just, to me it looks bad now, but living in it,
Right.
being in that environment, it was just the normal.
So let's expound on that. So you said it was normal. Let's talk about the it. What are some of the things that you kind of considered normal growing up that you don't consider normal now?
Seeing drugs
Okay.
being passed, just normal activity that you don't see in front of your face, like that I don't see now.
Okay.
Like, to me it was a normal. All the drug guys hanging around and stuff like that. Nobody goes to school. Everybody just on the corner all day. That was the normal
Okay.
to me.
Right.
But it was also kind of comfortable too, because it was almost like a family.
Okay.
So it was like we weren't.
So
blood.
those same drug dealers that was on the corner selling
Yeah.
drugs were the same people who looked out for you.
Exactly.
Okay.
So they were more like, my protectors. If, when I got the age of dating, people would come and visit, of course, and they'd be like, oh, no, like, who is that? Like, they want names, tags, where you from, where you live.
Right,
Like, they
right.
wasn't playing. Like, but that's how they were, because, they knew us.
Right.
Growing up, they knew us. So
Okay.
they didn't want outsiders coming in, and, they wanted to make sure you good. Like,
Right.
you all right? Like, all right, like, you need me, I'm right here.
So you from a neighborhood, basically, long as you was from there, you was pretty much straight.
Yeah.
You wasn't from around there,
Nah.
you get in question.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you said they knew us. So I got a question for you. Were you an only child?
No.
Okay. I want you to pretend that you are 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So you, like, name your siblings. You don't have to say their names, but what are the ages of your other siblings?
If I was 10,
Right.
then one of my sisters under me would have been 8.
Okay.
One would have been 7.
Okay.
My brother, he would have probably been 3.
Okay.
And then my sister, she would have probably been 1.
So all the ages you just mentioned were younger than you. So you were the oldest.
Yeah.
What was that like growing up in the house full of kids where you're the oldest?
It was fun and annoying at the same time because it was like I had to grow up way before my time because I was everybody's babysitter.
Okay.
Because I was the oldest.
Okay.
So it was kind of annoying because having 4 other siblings in the house
Right.
that were younger, it was annoying.
So you felt like, I'm just throwing this word out there, you feel like you got robbed a little bit?
No, not that I got robbed, because as I got older, like now I have my little cousins that I babysat or anything like that. So they'll see how my life is going and they'll follow in my footsteps.
Right.
Or they'll do something and the first person they call is me, like, I did this, and they're younger than me, and they be like, I did this. I'm the first person they call when they buying a house, buying a car, having kids.
Right.
Like they want me to know because they look up to me.
You're kind of like the mother hen of the,
Yeah.
at least of the kids in the family.
Yeah.
Got it. So a lot of times when a child winds up being the babysitter, not in every case, but in most cases, that means both parents are not in the home. So that's the next question. Like, did you grow up with both parents in the home at the same time?
No.
All right, so that means, well, it doesn't mean that, but were you either with your mother or your father? That's the first question.
I was with my mother,
You was with your mom, okay?
Yeah.
What's your mom's name, by the way?
Eleanor.
Shout out to Miss Eleanor. How you, or do they call her L?
They call her.
Or
My
Nor?
mom. No, my mom is. She is a character. So she likes to be called Luscious.
Luscious. Okay, that's her nickname. Okay.
Yes, that is her nickname,
I would
and
feel
that's her
really
name on
strange
Facebook.
walking up to your mom saying, "Hey, Miss Luscious."
I don't know, but they call her L or Eleanor.
Okay.
Like
okay.
mainly, like her siblings call her L.
What would you tell people to call your mom? Like if I say, "What's your mom's name?" What do you call her? What would I call her? Miss what?
Eleanor.
Okay, Miss Eleanor. Okay, how you doing? Okay. What would you say your relationship was with your mother growing up?
It was good. Me and my mom, we kind of bumped heads sometimes only because my birthday is 2 days after hers. So
okay.
we both Libras.
Right.
So the tipping of the scales,
Okay.
being in the same house, and
What month is Libra, by the way?
October.
October. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was like we didn't like kind of bump heads because my mom, she kind of like me. Like I kind of stayed to myself. My mom kind of stayed to herself, and it just sometimes we like that, just that clash, especially females, all 4 females being in the same house. It was
Right,
just was
right.
a lot.
So if your dad wasn't in the home, did you see your dad often? Did you know him? Did you see him like every weekend, every day? Like what was your like how often did you see him?
well,
and what was your relationship with him?
Younger, I seen him pretty much like every day. Cause,
Okay.
like my mom, when she would be at work, my dad would come and get us, and then we'll be with him at his job. He had a little food truck they used to have down at Camden High.
Really? Your dad had a food truck?
Yeah, he had a
Interesting.
food truck down there where they used to be down in
Right, in the food pits at lunchtime.
yeah.
So what was his truck? What was your dad's truck? Like was it a
He
breakfast
just-
truck? Was it a
No,
lunch
it
truck?
was more like a lunch.
Lunch, okay.
Yeah.
So like burgers, hot dogs, stuff like that?
Yeah, stuff like that, hot dogs.
Okay. So you were in the truck with him
chips
helping
and-
him?
I don't know about helping, but I was in the truck. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and then sometimes like they had like a daycare inside the school. I never knew Camden High had the daycare until I got older, but they
Okay.
also had it when I was younger.
Right.
So sometimes we'll go in there. I guess when like he get real busy, we'll go in the daycare because I think my aunts were working in there.
Okay.
And then when we weren't that busy, we'll be in the truck with him.
What was your relationship with him growing up?
It was good. I'm the oldest out of all my dad's kids. He got 6 kids, and I'm the oldest.
Okay.
So our relationship was good. My dad is like a laid back, like type person.
Okay.
Like, but he got along with I think all his kids except for the one son he The one son he has.
Right.
He's the only child, so they clash.
But for the most part,
Part.
would you say you got along better with your mom or your dad?
Probably my dad.
Probably your dad.
Yeah,
Okay.
only because my dad wasn't in the house.
Right.
So it was more like he didn't have to like give me like the rules or be the bad guy.
He wasn't there for the day to day.
Yeah.
Right.
So it was like when he come in, we're going to do something.
Okay.
Or stuff like that. That's how that was.
I'm about to challenge you.
What?
I bet that you don't remember every school you went to growing up.
I bet I do.
All right, let's go. Kindergarten, go.
All right, so I think kindergarten, first grade was Bonzel.
Okay.
Elementary.
Where is Bonzel?
That is in Polock.
Okay,
It
so
is
right in your neighborhood. That's
right
where it
in my
is.
neighborhood.
How
And I think
far did you walk to school?
I lived on Chase Street.
On Chase Street, okay.
Yeah, so I just had to walk across the street. Well, somebody walked us across the street.
Oh, so your walk to school was like 1 minute.
Literally. Yeah.
Okay. So kindergarten through what was Bonzel?
I want to say, I think it was kindergarten, first, and maybe second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I know third grade, I know I went to Whittier.
Is Whittier in Polock too?
That's downtown.
Whittier is downtown
Yeah.
Camden. Okay.
Yeah, for 1 year, I think we were like going back and forth with houses. So I don't know if it was the houses or the schools, but I do remember going to Whittier
So you
for 1
definitely
year.
did Whittier.
Yes.
Okay.
I remember the teacher.
So your mom moved, or you were staying at
My
somebody's
mom
house?
moved. We
Your
were
mom
staying with my who is my dad's aunt, but she raised my dad, so
Okay.
we call her Nana.
moved. Okay, Nana. Shout out to Nana.
Yeah. So we were staying there for a little bit, and that's
Okay.
how we got to Whittier.
Okay. So you did third, fourth, and fifth at Whittier?
No, only did third grade there.
Okay.
Fourth grade, we moved to East Camden,
Okay.
and I did Davis.
Davis Elementary. Okay.
Yeah, Davis.
Okay. So did you finish fifth grade at Davis?
No.
Interesting.
Then
Okay.
Then I went from Davis because I want to say Davis didn't have fifth grade.
Okay.
So I had to transfer to either McGraw,
Okay.
and my mom didn't want to stay in East Camden anymore. So
Okay.
we were eventually going to move back to Polock.
Okay.
So she transferred us to Bonzel.
So you went back to Bonzel.
So we went back to Bonzel.
So your entire elementary school experience, there was Bonzel, there was Whittier, there was Davis. So that's 1, 2, 3 schools. Which of those would you say was your favorite?
Probably Bonzel.
Bonzel.
Yeah.
Why?
Because some of the friends that I had in kindergarten, first, second, when I got back there, fifth grade,
Right.
they were still there.
Okay.
So it wasn't like I was coming back and being like the new kid.
Right.
I already knew some of them kids. So
Okay.
it just felt like home again.
Got it. So you saw some other parts of town. You saw downtown. You saw
Yeah.
East Camden.
Oh, man.
You're like, I need to get back to Polock.
Yeah, but you know what? What's crazy is even though I went to all those different schools, when I got to high school,
Right.
I still seen the kids from Whittier
And Davis.
and Davis
Right.
with me at Camden High.
Okay.
So I don't know how.
Yeah, they say
'cause
Camden
Davis
is a small city, but it's a big city, but it's a small city. So everybody knows the same people.
Yeah, because people, time went on, people moved different sections.
Back then,
of
it was
Camden.
only really 2 high schools.
It was.
Right,
It was only
right.
Camden High or Woodrow Wilson.
Woodrow Wilson,
so
right. What was Ellis Island in East Camden at Davis?
That was my aunt's restaurant.
Your aunt had a restaurant.
Yeah, she
Wow.
had a soul food restaurant
Okay.
on, what is it? Not Mount Ephraim, Martin Pike.
She had a really on Martin Pike. Okay.
Yeah, That was my first job at the age of, how old was I? I think I was 14.
That was your first job,
That was
working
my
with your
first
aunt.
job.
Cool
Look,
when you
I
get
was
hired by the
hustling.
family.
Yeah, I needed, look, I was getting paid $5 an hour.
I was about to say, you remember what your aunt was paying you?
$5 an hour.
Which is a lot for a 14-year-old.
It was. Look, I wanted to buy my own stuff because, see, my mom, I didn't like to ask my mom for stuff because I knew she had 5 kids. So I was like, I got to do something to make my own money. So when I think I was 12, I was doing hair,
Okay.
braids. I don't know why. People was coming to me. I was doing braids and stuff.
Right.
And then 14, my aunt had the restaurant. She offered me a job. I went and took it. So me and my cousin worked with her for a while.
So at 14, was it 14 middle school or 14 high school?
14 high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
So middle school.
I think it was summer middle, because I think I started like in the summer. I think I had just got done middle
you just
school.
finished 8th grade.
Yeah, and then I was going to high school.
So let's talk about middle school. Where'd you do 6th, 7th, and 8th grade?
Hatch.
Which is where?
In Parkside.
So you've gone to school now at age 14 in like 5 different neighborhoods. You going to school in Polock? You going to school in East Camden?
Yes.
You going to school downtown?
Yes.
4 neighborhoods, and you've gone to school in Parkside.
Yes. And the crazy part is, when I was going to Hatch,
Right.
I lived in Centerville.
Wait, so you guys moved from Polock to Centerville?
Well, my grandmom lived in Centerville, and I stayed with my grandmom for like a year or 2.
Okay.
So 6th and 7th, I was living in Centerville.
Okay.
And then 8th grade, I moved back to Polock.
So let's talk about that. Do you remember how it happened that you wound up living with your grandma?
I think I just went over there one day and just never
And
came
stayed?
back.
What are those numbers?
Yeah, it
Okay.
just never came. You know.
So it was no serious problem.
No,
It was just
no. It wasn't
on the
no serious
humbug.
problem. It was just I went over there and then I just never came back home, because I went to church with her every Sunday. So it was like when Monday came around, I didn't feel like going back home.
Right,
I
right.
had my own room. You know, it was just me and my grandmom there until
you
two
getting
other
older.
siblings.
Right.
Yeah, two
right.
other siblings came. They eventually came too,
Right,
but
right.
at first I was like, dang,
Okay.
I'm the oldest, but now I'm with my grandmom. I'm the only one there.
Right.
So,
And grandma, what, by the way?
what you mean?
Grandma, what would I call her? Grandma.
Yeah, we call her grandmom now.
Now,
It's-
what's her name? What grandma?
Marion.
Grandma Marion. Okay.
Yeah.
Shout out to Grandma Marion. So you said you went to church with her every Sunday. Was she
Yeah.
Catholic? Was she Baptist?
She was, I would consider, her church, I don't know. I grew up thinking it was Baptist, but
Okay.
I'm not sure. I never asked her, but I would say that it was a Baptist church.
Okay.
But for some reason, like, it was one of the churches that you can only wear skirts.
Okay.
Like, she was very strict. Like, you couldn't wear pants or anything like that. You had to wear skirts or dresses.
Right. And all the other girls.
All the
that-
you know what? I don't remember. I know now she still goes to the same church,
Right.
And is not as strict
As it was back
as
in the
it
day.
was back then.
Did all the women wear head coverings, like hats and bonnets?
No.
No. Okay.
No.
Okay. All right. So fast forward to high school. Where'd you do? Did you go to one high school or did you go to several?
No, I went to one. I went
Okay.
to Camden High.
You went to Camden High.
Yeah.
What was that experience like?
9th and 10th was good.
Okay. Why? Why was 9th and 10th good?
Because all my friends was there.
Okay.
All my friends was there. 11th and 12th, I just didn't care about school no more. I wanted to be done.
Right.
I wanted to be done. So 11th and 12th, I was just ready to go. And actually, my 12th grade year was actually fun because I had enough credits in 11th grade
Okay.
to graduate.
Okay.
But you had to take the 4 years of English.
Right. 4
And-
years of phys ed.
Yeah, you had
right.
to take the 4 years of that. So my last year was just English, gym,
Right.
and I had 5 hours of nursing.
Got it.
Literally, my whole 12th grade year was like nursing.
Okay. So were most of your classes in the morning and you just left school in the afternoon, or was it spread out?
Most of my classes were, because my nursing was in the morning.
Right.
And gym, that wasn't every day. So that was kind of some days. So the day that I just had nursing, we would actually go to the internship. So we would go to different facilities.
Really?
Yeah, we would
Okay.
go to different facilities and see how they work. Because it was like more like for a CNA program.
Okay.
But it was for you to, if you wanted to go into the nursing field, because they had like cosmetology classes there, and it was one more other like workshop class.
Okay.
But I chose nursing because
Right.
I thought that's what I was going
Okay.
to be, a nurse.
Okay, but you weren't a full co-op student though.
No.
per se, like go to school in the morning and then work in the afternoon. It wasn't
No,
that.
no.
Okay. So we talked about your first ever job. So how long were you working at your aunt's store?
I worked there for about a year.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Was
worked
that
there
your
for about
last
a
job?
year. No, it wasn't my last job.
Where else did you work?
So, Camden High had the program in the summertime.
Okay.
We used to tutor the kids.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, I did that in the summertime.
So you tutored kids at Camden High, or you
at
went to their
Camden
school?
High. Mm-mm.
Oh, the
They
kids
came to Camden High.
Really?
And we got paid for it.
Interesting.
So it was more like we were there for like it was only till 12 o'clock.
Okay.
So that same summer, I think I was 15.
Right.
And then that October, I turned 16. So as soon as I turned 16, I went to Pathmark. And I worked there
Where
for
was
like
Pathmark?
a year.
What section?
That was in, what is that considered? I want to say Centerville or Fairview.
Fairview, probably.
That was,
okay.
yeah, I think that's more like Fairview.
Right.
Yeah, more like on the
Now,
borderlines
that's
of
one
White
of
Boy Fairview
Right.
or Fairview.
Now that's one of the major, probably, shopping centers, shopping malls in Camden.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, 'cause they had everything there.
Right.
You had the Pathmark there, and then you had across the street the Payless, the
Right.
McDonald's. That was pretty much everybody that I went to school with
Right.
worked at
At
one
one
of
of
them
the
stores.
stores
Yeah,
in
one
the
of those
area.
stores. So I always had a ride. Like if somebody worked at McDonald's,
Right.
I catch a ride with them. Then I had a couple of coworkers that worked with me at Pathmark, so it was good.
That's cool. So let me ask you this question. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being the worst ever and 10 being the best possible, how would you rate your childhood?
I would say like an 8.
An 8.
Yeah.
Okay. What conditions would have needed to be like permissible for you to have had said 9 or 10?
Maybe if it wasn't so much as like moving around, if we stayed put
Okay.
at
So
one
stability,
particular,
basically.
yeah,
Right.
like if we stayed put at like one particular neighborhood or one house, and we didn't get that until I was in high school.
Okay.
Because then once I graduated 8th grade, went to 9th grade, that house, we stayed in there until I graduated. So it was like, it was comfortable.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I didn't have to worry about, like every 2 years, every year we're moving.
Right.
It was a pain, but
So you basically grew up in the hood. What would you say is like the most gruesome thing that you saw growing up that you experienced? Like things that you say, like you used to see things that you don't see today. What would you say was like something that stands out?
I guess just like the drug dealers just openly selling drugs in front of you, in front of everybody, just
Right.
people pulling up, saying just fiends, crackheads, just seeing them. You don't see them on the normal
Right.
in certain like environments.
Right.
You don't see them.
They're like
really
the
have to go to
underbelly
a
of
certain
society.
place.
Right.
Yeah, you really have to go to a certain place.
Exactly.
To see
When
them.
you would see a regular person, you're like, yo, what you doing around here? And
Yeah.
they're like, I'm not doing anything. Well, this is not the area to not be doing anything.
Exactly. Yeah. So it was like I lived in that place where stuff to me was normal. Seeing crackheads, drug dealers, stuff just being done right in front of you.
Right.
People being killed, and just it was just a different environment.
Now, you had mentioned that you actually saw somebody get shot right in front of you.
Yeah, the neighbor.
Okay.
Yeah, the neighbor. We were all sitting outside, and I don't know if he owed somebody something or what it was, but they ran up on him and shot him broad daylight.
Right in front of you.
Right in front of us. It was everybody was outside playing. It was
Wow.
during the day.
Wow.
So I mean, he survived.
Right.
But just to see that in front of you, like I know it's known being around.
Right.
In my area, that's the normal. But to actually see it,
Right.
that's when it was like, yeah, it's time to go.
So was that traumatizing to you, or was it like just regular?
At the time, it was just regular.
Okay. Okay.
It was just regular. Like, it didn't traumatize me. It was just like, seeing friends going to friends' funerals and stuff like that. It was just like the normal. It didn't
Really phase
like,
you too
yeah,
much.
it didn't really phase me because
And he lived, so you was like, oh well, just another dude in the hood got shot.
exactly. That's exactly.
So do you have kids today?
Yes, I
What
do.
are their ages range from? How many beautiful seeds do you have?
3.
3 kids?
They
Okay.
age from the youngest, she'll be 20 on the 18th
Okay,
of this month,
congratulations.
February. And then I have a 22-year-old and 23-year-old.
Okay. Now, you know your parents and
Yeah.
the way they raised you because you were there.
Mm-hmm.
How would you compare your parents, excuse me, how would you compare your parents' parenting styles to yours? Like, what are some similarities and differences?
So to compare my parenting styles to my parents' parenting styles, I think I'm more strict because of where I grew up at
Okay.
versus where my kids grew up at. Like my kids, even though like my sons, even though me and their father didn't stay together, they
Right.
still had they still had the 2 households.
Okay.
They still had the 2 parents.
Okay.
And then my daughter, it was just mainly me and her, so I think I was more harder on her.
Okay.
But because of the stuff that I seen growing up, I didn't want her to fall into the same footsteps.
Right.
So I think I was kind of more strict. It was certain stuff she couldn't do. She couldn't go here, she couldn't go there. Whereas though me growing up,
Right.
my mom let me go anywhere.
Okay.
I was 12 years old walking from Polock to Kramer Hill.
Right.
Like nowadays, I would never.
For people who don't know Camden, that's a long walk.
That's a long walk.
It's about
yeah.
that's over an hour walking.
Yeah.
Right.
Nowadays, my daughter, she walking somewhere like, where are you going?
Right.
Like even in a neighborhood that is considered,
Suburban.
kind of suburban. I'm still like, where are you going? Because like one complex we lived in, it was a nice townhouse complex, but it was a lot going on around there.
Okay.
Like it was a lot. It was just because it was townhouses, so it was a lot of people.
Right.
A lot of kids from her school, and then you got all the stores and supermarkets. Everything was close.
And you from the hood, so your awareness is heightened.
Yeah.
Like you.
So I'm from the
recognize
hood.
drama.
So even if she wanted to walk around the corner, I'll be like, what corner are you going? Where are you walking? And
Right.
I'll let her go, but then I'll drive around
right.
to make sure she went where she said she went. I actually had put a tracker on her phone.
And you gotta do what you gotta do to make sure your kids are safe.
At one time, I had it on her phone to where as though a certain time she was supposed to be home.
Right.
If she wasn't home at that time,
Okay.
my phone would alert me. And then I'll call her like, well, where are you at? And she'll say like, oh, the day was the day I stayed school late or something like that. And I'd be like, okay, so I got to adjust the time.
Right.
But I didn't play because I knew how I grew up. Like it was kind of rough.
So let's talk about that. So you talked about walking through different neighborhoods at
Yeah.
age 12, the things you saw when you were 17. If we put your 17-year-old daughter in your body at 17, would she be able to handle it?
No.
Completely different childhood.
Completely different.
So you would say that your daughter is probably having your kids in general had better childhoods than you did.
Yeah.
Okay.
My sons, they might, but see, they're boys.
It's hard to speak for other people,
Yeah.
but for your personal opinion, you think
Yeah.
that they have better childhoods.
I think they did.
Okay.
I feel as though
Based on what?
for one, they didn't grow up in the hood.
Right.
And they grew up in environments like my sons, their father had a job.
Okay.
He was around.
Okay.
He owned his house.
Okay.
He had cars. They didn't have to catch the bus.
Right.
Like even with my daughter, she didn't have to catch the bus nowhere. I always had a car. I always had a job. So they were more in like a more stable environment. Even though my mom provided a more stable environment, but we were in the hood.
Right.
So it was stable.
But you still got to go outside.
Exactly. It was stable, but in the hood you gotta walk. It's a corner store at every corner.
Facts.
So we didn't need my mom to go to the corner store. We walk into the stores.
Right.
We didn't need my mom to go here or go there or school. We didn't have buses coming to pick us up, so
Right.
we had to walk. So these kids now,
And when you go outside in the hood, it's always a dice roll or a coin flip of if something is going to happen. Might not necessarily be bad, but that walk from your house to the corner store
you're right.
is like 10 things that happen on the block every hour.
You're right. You're right. It could be good, bad. Yeah, you're
Right,
right. Versus my kids growing up, either the school was around the corner and the parents still dropped them off, or
Okay.
my daughter, the bus practically picked her up in front of the house. I
Okay.
think it did that until she was in high school.
Wow.
And in high school, they feel as though they're older kids, so they
Right.
just make them walk just 2 minutes down the hill.
Right.
And then they get picked up at one location.
Okay.
But
Even still, she never had to walk through neighborhood to neighborhood to get
No.
to school. Okay.
no.
Okay.
If she had to walk to school, well, yeah, I would. I'm not even going to do that to her. If she had to walk, she would know where the school was at because it wasn't far.
Right,
Like,
right.
them kids is spoiled because the walk from the school to the house
Right.
was at least like 15, I'm gonna say 15, 20 minutes.
Okay.
Like is nothing. I'm like, we had no choice. We had to walk.
Right.
They was not giving kids in the hood a bus.
So for them, a 15,
Sarah.
20-minute walk is like walking to California from
Yeah.
Jersey.
Yes. If she missed the bus, she'll be like, Mom, like I missed the bus. Like, okay, like you can walk.
Right.
Like, nah, she wanna either stay home.
I missed the bus, so I'm staying home.
Yeah, so nah, you getting out of here, so I had to call her a Lyft or an Uber.
Right,
You know, we didn't have it. So
Yeah, I hear you. Let me ask you this question. Do you have a worst childhood time period or day that, if you could, you like to forever forget?
probably when my mom was dating this guy and
We're not going to
nobody-
give him a shout out because I know you know his name.
You know what? I can't remember his real name.
Okay.
But I just remember the name that we call him.
Okay.
Which was Debo,
Debo.
only because he really act like the guy from
Friday movie?
Friday. He looked like him. He had the bald head. He had the cockeyed.
Right.
So everybody in the neighborhood called him that.
Called him Debo.
Yes,
Okay.
called him
Okay.
Debo. He had a military mentality.
Okay.
So he was one of them, like he was dating my mom, but like when my mom would be at work, he would do weird stuff. Like it's winter, he opens up all the windows
Really?
so we could clean. Like open
Okay.
up all the windows. So we in the house freezing.
Right.
So we could clean the house. Like who does that?
Right. Okay.
And just nobody, just I don't know, he just was that military, like his style of military. And then he wasn't our dad, so we like, you're not our dad, like
Right.
you doing this military stuff, like go do that to your kids.
Right.
Like you came out of nowhere, like it's a difference if it was our parent,
Okay.
because you got the kids that have military parents and they already know, but we like, where did you come from?
Right.
Like we don't know you. Like we was bad.
So he used to do a
We
lot of
was
weird
bad.
stuff like that.
What, I don't know what happened one day.
Right.
I don't know if we hid from them or what. And back then we didn't have cell phones. So
Right.
we were down the basement telling our friends, go call the cops. Tell him he got us locked in the basement, he won't feed us. The
And
cops
y'all
showed
started
up.
getting jammed up. They came? They actually called?
Yes, they came. My mom was just like, these kids, like, we was like, we gonna get him out of here. We was trying to run him out of the house. He was
Right.
just like, he couldn't handle us. We was like, you not gonna come in here. She got 5 kids, like, you not gonna come in here and rule us
And take over, right?
and
right,
take
right,
over.
right.
We wasn't playing it.
So out of
No.
all the guys, well, now I don't want to say all the guys, but out of all the men that you knew that dealt with your mom, that was the one guy.
That
You're
was
like,
the
I
one
wish I
guy.
could just delete him.
Yeah, I think
Got
she
it.
did after a while too.
So let's flip it. Do you have a favorite childhood day that you would like to go back to if you could?
Not a particular day, but maybe more like a moment.
Okay.
The summers, maybe starting around 10.
Okay.
My uncle moved from out of the city and he moved down the highway to Somerdale. And he had
Somerdale, New Jersey.
Somerdale, New Jersey.
How far would you say that is from where you live, from Camden?
Driving about 15, 20 minutes.
Okay.
So it was just a different atmosphere. It was not what not what I'm used to. Row homes and just stores around the corner. There you really had to walk to get to somewhere.
Okay.
And then the houses were separated. And then it was also a mixture of people.
Okay.
Because, from the city, you used to just seeing black, Hispanics, that's
Right.
it. But when we moved down there, all his neighbors were mainly white.
Okay.
So growing up, going down there, just seeing how they act down there.
Right.
So it was kind of fun because
What would you say were some of the differences?
it was more, I would say they were more like, it was different because growing up in the city was like, we didn't have anything.
Right.
So it was like we had to make up our own games. We didn't have game systems, and we had one TV. Everybody had to share one phone. Everybody had to share. Going down there, seeing my cousins, their friends, they had their own room, their own TVs, their own phones in their rooms. They had houses with in-ground pools,
Wow.
trampolines. They was going, it was a park where you can actually play around, don't nobody bother you. So
Right.
it was different.
It was more of a community where people owned their homes and
Yeah.
they had more stake in their neighborhood as
Yeah.
opposed to the person next door to you might own their house in the hood or they might be renting it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
And
you're
you
right.
got
Yeah.
people full of renters,
Yeah.
they don't really care because they move it
Yeah.
anyway. Right.
You're right. Yeah.
Interesting.
So it was fun. Because
Okay.
that was like my vacation.
So this was summers at your uncle's crib.
Summers.
You
Summer.
gotta give your uncle a shout out. Uncle
Lloyd.
Lloyd. Shout out to
Yeah.
Uncle Lloyd.
Yeah. Summers at his house. And it was fun because even though he was the only black guy in the neighborhood, he was a cop.
Okay.
So a lot of people
Right.
respected him,
Right.
and his friends was just mixture, and like it was just fun.
Okay.
It was just fun.
Okay. Do you feel like there's anything in your childhood that occurred that you feel like forever changed your life, whether positive or negatively?
I can't really remember anything in my childhood that would have, not really in my childhood, because a lot of stuff didn't start happening until I got older, and that was just
Around
like
what age?
losing. Well, you know what? I would say at the early age of like 16.
16, okay.
Yeah, that's when we experienced like a death in the family that was big.
Okay.
So it was like, and then from there, as I got older, just seeing people that were like a big part of the family
Right.
not there no more, like it just made it seem, it just made it you start to realize how important people are
Okay.
when they're no longer there.
Right.
So
Right.
that, I think that will probably be the most.
How would you say that affects you? Like affected you, like losing somebody important to you at such a delicate age?
Back then, I think I didn't really understand it.
Okay.
Like, I didn't really understand it, and it didn't affect me as much until I got older, and then when I started seeing my relatives pass, I think it kind of affected me more because I seen how they played a part in my life.
Right.
And then they were no longer there. But when I was younger, you used to just playing and doing this and doing that. Somebody passed, they're older, so you think that like, well, eventually they're going to pass. They're older,
Okay.
so it didn't kind of affect me as much.
Got it.
Until I got older,
Okay.
and that's when it started.
What was your overall perception of how your childhood affected your life? Like the person who you are today, the person you became, would you say, in your opinion, it's a direct reflection of your childhood or not?
I would say it's a direct reflection.
Okay, how so?
Because I had the type of family that was, even now, like my family stuck together.
Okay.
You know, they're not the family that tear anybody down or anything like that. It was really that it takes a village to raise, you know, a kid.
Okay.
And that's how it was. So it was just, I had everybody. So, you know, my family expected a lot. You know, they were the family that when you had games or you had concerts or something like that, the whole family is showing up. Like
Right.
the entire family. Like it was a support system.
Okay.
So growing up, I try to do the same thing. Like as far as with my daughter, she still has my aunts, was her great aunts, you know, and my sisters, my brothers.
Okay.
Like we all still carry that tradition. Like we all still, when it's something, we make it big.
Oh, that's amazing. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
and it's like not too many families are like that anymore. It's hard
Right.
to come by families that are like that. Some people just, you know, some families like growing up in a different era. Like my kids, they're considered the era of the privileged kids.
Right.
So
Look what these kids had. They got Google at the palm of their hands. We had
Well-
outdated encyclopedias. They
I told my daughter, I've never owned an iPad.
ever.
I just brought a laptop recently only because I needed it for school, but
Right.
she's had a laptop, iPad. She had flat screen TV before I did. Like these kids don't
Cell phones.
understand cell phone. I
You
didn't
was
get
in
a
the
cell
hood
phone.
jammed up. It was
I
nobody
had
to
a
call.
beeper.
You had
I still had a beeper at 20. Like I didn't have my first cell phone till probably about 20.
Right.
They got it. She had hers at 9.
Right. So yeah, it was definitely a different experience.
Yeah, but she still gets that, the family experience that I experienced.
Right.
She still gets that. Like my
Okay.
kids, they still get that family experience. Because even though we're all like doing our own thing, we still, as a family, come together when we need to. And I mean, we come together not as much anymore, but we still like that close family.
Okay, that's excellent. With all that being said, I want you to pick the age and complete this sentence for me. I want to give advice to blank-year-old Traneka. Go. You pick the age.
Let's see. You know what I do? I want to give advice to the 17-year-old Traneka.
Okay, what would you tell her?
I would tell her I should have went to college when I had the chance. I turned down. I had a scholarship, but
you?
I didn't. Yeah, but I didn't want to go because it was for food management.
To where?
To Philadelphia. It was a college in Philadelphia.
Okay.
And I think my dad had a lot to do with it, like applying me to certain stuff, having me writing essays and stuff like that. So I got accepted. I went, me and him, we looked at the school. It was like food and restaurant management.
Okay.
At the time, I wasn't interested in food and restaurant management, so I really didn't want to go.
Right.
So my dad was like, you either do that or you do Air Force. I wound up having a kid and doing neither.
Oh,
So if I could go back, I wouldn't say I would change things, but I would have probably went to school a little earlier.
okay.
Like try to still stay on path, because it's like now, trying to do it is hard.
Right.
It's hard.
So with all that being said, who is the person that you are today?
I am maybe a more independent, strong, only because I seen a lot that my mom was going through.
Okay.
So I felt as though I'm not going to do that, or I don't want to be that way. So I kind of made my life the way I wanted.
Right.
So I think I kind of built the life that I want, and people don't understand that you have to work for it, and it's hard. And I think sometimes I'm not satisfied with where I'm at, but I'm further than where a lot of people are.